to the degree that my wife actually got involved in it, kicking and screaming, because she works a full-time job on top of that. And we would spend our weekends traveling around the country doing clowning gigs for parties and corporations, and you name it, we did it. So that was the very first introduction to spirituality that I had, which was being a clown. And a clown is one of the most spiritual characters in this existence because he's a shapeshifter, isn't he? And so it kind of opened my mind to what was coming. It kind of opened my mind to what was to come. And that is really where, after 6 years of doing clowning, which I had no idea I would be doing for so long, after 6 years of doing clowning, I found myself, how can I say this? I found myself, it takes a lot of energy. When you're depressed and suicidal, it takes a lot of energy to be happy or to act happy, to put on a social mask. In this case, it was the mask of a clown, which literally hid my face. But I had to be happy, and really in my head, I wanted to die. But yet people loved what I was doing. And after I started to get tired after 6 years. It takes a lot of energy. And somebody said, well, can you do Santa Claus? And I said, sure I can. So I grew my beard in, and I donned the Santa Claus role. And I let the clowning part of my business go. I let it slide. And I focused on doing Santa at Christmas time, and in the summertime, Christmas in July. And I found a role that I could be kind to people, and I found that I was attracting and being invited to engage more with adults than I was children. Adults would come up to me crying and asking me to heal them and asking me to say hi to their loved ones in heaven. And what an awesome responsibility. I had no idea what an awesome responsibility being a professional Santa Claus was. But I got a little bit more joy out of it. Not a lot, but a little bit. It was an awesome responsibility, and I still wasn't really well with the post-traumatic stress disorder. So I kept Santa because it was only 6 weeks. But each year that went by, I would find it harder and harder and harder, and I would become anxiety-ridden, putting on the costume to go out to do the Santa work that I was hired to do. And so I found that very interesting. So I'm still dealing with the mental side of it. By this time, my doctor had called me and said, we found you a psychiatrist. And I paid out of pocket to go to a private trauma specialist during this whole time while all of this was going on. So I'm in cutting edge post-traumatic stress disorder therapy. I'm a clown. I'm a Santa Claus. It's all working very well. The psychiatrist is loading me up with medications that make me feel more balanced and less sad. Let's put it that way. Less sad, not completely eliminating it. And so the same friend that recommended years earlier there that I become a clown then said to me, there's a shaman teacher in the wilderness in Ontario that you should go to and study ancient indigenous healing ways with. And I thought, wow, my friend has really got some great ideas, but we've never talked about this kind of stuff. So he sent me the ad that he had read in an article that he had read on this shaman in the wilderness. And I contacted her and spent the next 2 years studying with her in the bush, because I really needed to get better as fast as I could. And she taught me the indigenous ways. Shamanism is the teaching of the indigenous ways. A shaman would be the witch doctor or the medicine man of a tribe. And in every culture, there are shamans. And so the one I would study with we would learn to work with plant medicines and learn to do rituals. Yeah, I remember, Teresa, you mentioned rituals earlier. Yes, definitely. There were plenty of rituals to learn and different rituals for different things that were going on in your life and moon phases and so forth. And it was actually an education that I could have never imagined. And it helped me so much. It expanded my mind from a very black and white law enforcement officer thinking, from a very narrow scope of thinking that we had, which was just to go out and arrest bad guys, to, hey, there are good people in the world. There are good people in the world, and I can help them through shamanism. And so I went back home after a couple of years of back and forth, living with the shaman and then coming back home to my family, and then spending a month here and then going back out to the shaman. Over that period of time, I learned to work with spirit. And this was the first time I had ever learned about working with spirit elements and spiritual things and the language and what it meant. But I'll tell you, it felt pretty darn good because it gave me a creativity release that really helped take the feelings of depression and anxiety and really subdue them. It didn't eliminate them, but it subdued them. It made them less. And that worked for a while. And I'm working still with the doctors, the shaman, the psychiatrist now. I've got a medical health team that's in place from the best of the best and to the most unique, that being the shaman. And I thought I had a pretty well-rounded way of looking at things. And when I finished my studies with the shaman, I will tell you that I left there greatly enriched. And the therapy that I was going through, this cutting-edge PTSD therapy that I was going through, that I was paying out of pocket for, it seemed to be working as well. Except that with this cutting-edge therapy, it required me to go back to my childhood and work my way forward through life in a therapy session. And I did that. And when it was over, she said, "Congratulations, you're cured. It's been nice meeting you." And I left. And I was good for a few years until one day I woke up and something had went wrong within me. Something had broken, I felt. That's the only words I can use. Something had broken inside of me. And I went back to the therapist and I said, I'm feeling just like I did when I first got post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm feeling that sick. And I haven't felt that sick in 20 years. And she said, well, there's some new cutting-edge therapies. I'd like to try one with you, but it requires us to go back to you being a child. And I thought, well, we've just been through that. I can't go back. And in fact, with each session I did with her, I became nauseous because it was like reliving a hell all over again. From a child where I had sexual assault issues and I had bullying issues and you know, then into my identity as a law enforcement officer and that mask that I wore and the clown and Santa Claus. And I just felt that I couldn't do it. I couldn't start again. And within a very few days of that mindset, that I can't go, of me saying to myself that I can't go through that again, I had a good friend that called me up 20 years after meeting her. And we got to talk. We hadn't talked in 20 years. And she was living about 3 hours from me. And she was a life coach. And she called herself a transformative life coach. And she said, I'd like to have you as my client. And I want to show you something that I think may help you. I said, listen, I feel very, very sick right now. I said, I'll do anything. I said, anything than to have to go back in the past and relive my life in a therapist's office, anything. In 4 sessions, 1-hour sessions, she totally alleviated my PTSD symptoms. Totally alleviated my PTSD symptoms. And she took a chance on me, and it totally changed my life. And it was from that experience that I said, this is what I found that I love. This is what I want to do, and this is how I can help people the way she has helped me with this transformative life coaching that she did. And so gradually I let go of that 20-year therapist that I had worked with for so long that had wanted me to go back in time. I just said to her, I need a break. And she said, that's okay. Take a break. No problem. And I engaged with my friend instead, who showed me the most peaceful way to live that I can ever say that I've ever found, and to live life in a very freeing way. And so as I'm learning this with my life coach, my wife and I are at dinner one night, and she says, we really are a shade of, all of us are a shade of broken. And I said, wow, that is really great. And so it was my wife who came up with the name of my life coaching firm, Shades of Broken. And that's how that was born.
Wow. I don't know what to say. You're an excellent speaker. I don't know. You just took me to a place where all I wanted to do is listen. So you're an excellent speaker, Sam.
Thank you very much.
You bet. It's a great story. But let Richard and Melinda ask questions. You know, people are all uniquely different. No two of us are alike. And I'd like them to just feel like they can get to know you, as everybody out there that are listening